Okay, so thank you to those who are joining us outside of council, who are watching this as participants. Apologies for the hiccup when it comes to Zoom. I think we can all agree that we all have a bit of Zoom fatigue. So I think we will go right into Mayor's Council and reports. I would just remind anyone today is voting day, and if you haven't done so, that you should exercise your right to vote. And I would imagine, I believe that all of council already has voted. So on that note, I think I'm going to hand it over to Anitra, who I think has an update. Councillor Bostock, are you there?
Thank you,
Are you back on?
I am. Thank you, Mayor Smith. Good evening, everybody. Just a friendly reminder, actually, that council is going to be back out in person doing the back to school safety campaign starting next week. You'll see us on September 28th at Roslyn, September 29th at the study, September 30th at ECS, October 5th at Westmount Park School, and October 6th we will be at Selwyn House and École Internationale, just reminding drivers, children, parents, and everybody about the importance of following the rules of the road, especially in school zones. So it's nice to be back out there. It's been almost 2 years, but I think it's a nice event that we've started. So I will see you all there.
Great, thank you, Councillor Bostock. And that is something that we do with the SPVM and as well with the Pedestrian and Cycling Association. And because we have so many schools, we try and rotate them. So hopefully we'll see lots of parents out there on those days and students as well. Thank you. Any other, Councillor Cutler, did you have an update? No?
Not for me this month.
Okay, so we'll move over to Councillor Breschke, I think has an update.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So this evening, I will be tabling the final report of the Westmount Accessibility Advisory Committee. So I just wanted to mention a few points about that and make another announcement as well. We were mandated in October for this committee to produce a final report, and we've delivered. And I just want to say that it's been a great experience, and I want to thank all the members who have been on the committee to make it a nice success. I encourage everybody to take a read through this document. It's the first time that resident members living with a disability, or those representing the elderly or living with a disability, visible or non-visible, have actually had direct engagement with each department head over the course of a year. And I feel that we've sort of pushed the fast forward button on our annual action plans for persons with disabilities. So it is big. I just want to highlight two things: the guiding principles, the emphasis on an inclusive approach and integration of accessibility improvements into existing services and infrastructure, and in so doing, benefiting all. And then we also, this committee raised the attention of visible and non-visible disabilities, as well as the benefits of direct engagement with persons living with a disability. And one of the recommendations is an ongoing standing committee, to have such a committee work together with council and be available for departmental directors to see how they can move forward with their actions in the departments. So there were 51 recommendations in this report. So that's a big number. Anything ranging from a ramp to access the stage at Victoria Hall, or adding accessibility tips to any home and renovations guidelines, to adding a symbol, the accessibility symbol, to some of the activities that are listed in the Sports and Rec catalog for those activities that can be adjusted to various abilities. So there's just a wide range. So I welcome everyone to take a read of that. And I will mention my colleagues on this, because you know, it was a group effort, and I have to thank so much my co-chair, Councillor Bostock, Thank you very much. Was present and very engaged and helped things run smoothly during our meetings as well, and contributed a great deal. All my council colleagues who attended, many of them attended these meetings, departmental directors and the administration, and especially our 2 employee resident participants, and as well as the members. So thank you, Mr. Sepulcre, Christophe Sepulcre. Thank you, Sheldon Lewis. Thank you, Krista, and thank you, Aaron. I'm trying to get the list here. Thank you, Krista Leatham, Aaron Krupas, employees Christopher Roger, and resident member Paul Vinet. Thank you very much, and Andrew LaPlante. So this was a fantastic theme, fantastic committee. So I'm very excited about this report. Secondly, I just want to make an announcement, which many of you have probably heard, but I've decided not to run for the 2021 municipal elections, and instead focus my time on other priorities and commitments. But I just wanted to say that it's been a wonderful experience and a privilege to represent the interests of residents and members of the broader community on council. My commissionership could not have been better suited. They really match my values, sustainability and accessibility. And I thank the mayor so much and my council colleagues. Thank you very much for everyone's openness to some of the ideas that I've moved forward during my term. So it's been wonderful. And I also want to thank Westmount residents who have steadily provided a lot of input that fueled my motivation to serve, not to mention the voices heard through our newspaper, the Westmount Independent. And in this list, also a special thanks to the exceptional volunteers on the Westmount Accessibility Advisory Committee. It was great. We live in a wonderful city thanks to everyone's engagement in our municipal affairs. So I want to thank you, and I look forward to continuing to be very engaged and supporting our next council to reaching the objectives of an inclusive Westmount, for instance. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Breshke. And you're not done yet. You still got a bit of time left in your term, but I just on the WAC, as we call it internally, but the Westmount Accessibility Advisory Committee, that will leave a long-lasting impact and will be integrated into everything we do. So and that has your name on it. So I just that's a wonderful legacy to leave behind. And I want to thank you for your engagement, for pushing us, for pushing the city always towards a more accessible and a more sustainable outcome. So it's I'll certainly still see you across the street, but I especially your work on the A committee. I want to take this time to thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Smith.
So now we will move on to Councillor Gallery, I think has an update.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do have a few updates. Good evening, everyone. I just want to let you all know that today marks yet another phase of the Westmount Public Library's reopening. We are now allowing seating and studying and reading for our members to go in with a maximum capacity of 100 people. You can, however, still reserve your items online and or by email and do the curbside pickup. The library staff will also help you download the Vaxi Code app should you need help. And the library's also put out a call for candidates for the Westmount Public Library Committee. We're looking for 2 new people to join this committee, and it's a really wonderful opportunity to see and hear and being part of what's going on at the library behind the scenes. All the information can be found online, and the deadline for the application is October 4th of the next month. We have a few activities coming up. There's a knitting workshop this Wednesday, which is surprisingly really popular. And Friday, September 24th, we have a virtual family quiz night, which is also a huge hit. Please sign up. All the information can be found online. And lastly, next Wednesday, September 29th, we are bringing back the Mitch Joel fireside chats, and our guest featured this next week will be Mitch Garber. So that should be a really great interview. Don't miss it. Again, everything's online. So that's it for me. Take care.
Thank you, Councillor Gallery. And I would just reiterate on that point of the welcoming of the opening of the library. Please just remember our staff as well is in a transition, and we are adjusting to this as well, and the library is adjusting to it as well. They're excited to have people back in there. But as you know, with transitions, sometimes there's hiccups. So please be patient and understanding about that. And all of our buildings, so Victoria Hall, the library, and the WRC, which are open to the public, will all require a vaccine passport. So if you do need help with downloading that, or you need information on that, as Councillor Gallery had said, that the librarians are willing and able to help you with that. And any questions on Victoria Hall, when it falls under auditorium within the province, so that does require a vaccine passport. I know there was the Westmount Municipal Association had an event there last week, which was not run by us, but it was run by the Westmount Municipal Association, and it was to do with the federal election. It was the debates for the federal election, and there had been some concern there about the communication of letting people know that they did require a vaccine passport. So for anyone who is confused about it, they will have, you do need a vaccine passport for the WRC, for the library, and for Victoria Hall. And as well, I know there had been some communication about being allowed into the WRC if your kid is playing hockey or skating, and you are allowed to have one parent to go in with you at this point. So any changes to those rules will obviously be available on our website and be communicated here. So thank you for that update, Councillor Gallery. I think Councillor Lulham, do you have an update?
No.
No, and Councillor Kez?
No, I do not.
No, okay, so we'll move to the first question period, la première période de questions, and some questions have been submitted online, so we will do the best we can to answer those first, and then you can ask live questions at this point, but they would be, the same rules as the same rules apply. State your name and your question. So I hand it over to Mr. Campbell, who will be managing that, I believe.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. Good evening, everyone. First question is from Claudia Baruch at 3741 The Boulevard. Her question is, good evening, Mayor and councillors. Around this time 4 years ago, you knocked on my door and we discussed the dog parks as well as many other times in person, phone, and an email. The unhealthy choice of ground cover and the many failed experiments to control the dust have failed miserably. I can say with confidence that I am sure that you all agree by now. In light of the huge upcoming park projects and commitments to solve the problem, what and when will you change the unsanitary, unhealthy, inaccessible state of our dog parks? Thank you for taking my question, Claudia Baruch.
Thank you for the question, Ms. Baruch, and I think you are watching tonight or listening. As you know, this has been, we've had a lot of communication about this, and thank you for that. Recently, we had a Zoom about other things, but this obviously was one of the topics. And we did, and you know that we have done, we've done the Soul Rock report, which I believe you have a copy of, and that you do not, I know that you don't like the material that is in this dog run. We did spray it in the spring, and from what I understood, that helped in terms of dust abatement. If you feel that that did not help, then we should have a continued conversation with that. But from what I understood from other users of the dog park, that did help with the dust abatement, which is specifically was the issue around was around King George Park. So I can get in touch with you over the coming days, and I will get more details from Public Works on that. Thank you. Next question.
Next question is from Mr. Dan Lambert, the Association of Pedestrians and Cyclists of Westmount. His question is, in April, May, and July, we asked the city to make de Maisonneuve a very low traffic street shared by pedestrians, joggers, cyclists, people in wheelchairs, and de Maisonneuve resident drivers. During recent pipe repairs, pedestrians could often walk from Melville to Olivier without encountering a driver, thereby making it safe to walk in the street, to social distance and relax. Now transit drivers from Green and Clark have returned, so pedestrians typically encounter 10 or more drivers between Melville and Clark, making it unsafe to walk in the street. To reestablish the parkway design enjoyed by so many residents this summer, we suggest a pilot test limiting traffic to the Maisonneuve residents only by, for instance, making the Maisonneuve one-way east between Kitchener and Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert, for your question and for your feedback on this. And I know that the traffic committee is also looking at different ways and are discussing with the STM, because it's obviously very linked to the construction that's going on at Atwater, and looking at different ways to reduce the traffic, because people did, while it was a complete and total construction site, the Maisonneuve, it also meant there were no cars on the street. So if there are ways to reduce traffic by, changing direction for certain blocks, then that is certainly something that they are going to look at. So thank you for your interest on this, and also for your feedback in trying to get, I agree with you. I don't think de Maisonneuve is the right through street. We've got Sherbrooke Street and we've got St. Catherine Street that are wider. They're much easier for that type of traffic. So if we can look at more permanent solutions to reduce that traffic by changing direction on de Maisonneuve, I certainly would be supportive of looking into those. So thank you for your question. Next question.
The last written question is from Sandra Murdoch at 53 Fordham Avenue. And her question is, what is the rationale for the 40-kilometer speed limit on the section of Fordham Avenue between Westmount Avenue and Montrose? Given the proximity to the park of this section, and in the aftermath of the tragic death of the cyclist that occurred in June 2020 on this stretch, I would encourage the city to consider implementing a 30-kilometer speed limit. I would also suggest that the occasional monitoring of speed on this section by the police might show that the speed at which many cars navigate this stretch is well in excess of 40 kilometers per hour.
Thank you, Mrs. Murdoch. I agree with you. And I believe that those signs and that change is going to be happening very soon, that it is that the traffic committee had looked at that, and to reduce from 40 to 30, largely because it is so close to the park, but also it's an area in between a lot of schools where if there's something that we can do to encourage kids to be walking to school, we would like to do that. And we know that a lot of them are walking up and down Fordham. So I wholeheartedly agree with your suggestion. And I believe it's happening soon, but I don't have the exact date. And I would imagine if you submitted your question, we have your email, so we can follow up with you on that. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Do we have any more? That's it for written questions, right?
That's correct. We have no one indicating that they wish to pose a live question. They would have to do so by raising their hand in the chat box.
I noticed that there's a Q&A that Mr. Mahdi Chaloubi, I don't know if he has a question. Yes.
Okay, well, I'll see if I can open him.
Okay. If not, you can always ask a question in the second question periods. Otherwise, we'll move on to the more formal part of the agenda. I think if that's all right, if nobody has raised their hand. And I don't see any raising in the hand. Okay, on va commencer avec l'adoption de l'ordre du jour. Conseillère Lallam, s'il vous plaît.
Je propose que l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire de conseil de 20 septembre 2021 soit adopté.
Merci beaucoup. Est-ce que j'ai un appuyeur pour ça? Je ne le vois pas. Madame Breschke, merci. Tout en faveur? All in favor, carried. Item number 5, numéro 5, approbation de procès verbal. Encore, conseillère Lallam.
Je propose que le procès verbal de la séance ordinaire de conseil tenue le 9 septembre 2021 soit approuvé.
Merci beaucoup. Puis un appuyeur sur ça, c'est Monsieur Chamy, conseiller Chamy. Tout en faveur? Oui. Numéro 6, rapport au conseil de correspondance. Le document suivant est déposé. Résolution numéro 2152 de la ville de l'île de Dorval, intitulé Maintien du statut bilingue de la ville de l'île de Dorval, adopté le 11 août 2021. 6.2, Madame Lallam, Conseillère Lallam.
The minutes of the general committee meeting of council held on August 2nd, 2021 are tabled and are available on the city's website.
Thank you very much. Item number 7, numéro 7, le comité consultatif sur l'accessibilité de Westmount, rapport final, conseillère Bresky.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Thank you. Whereas the Office des personnes handicapées du Québec recommended that the City of Westmount establish a committee to review accessibility in the city and get feedback from residents living with disabilities concerning their needs. Whereas at its sitting held on October 5th, 2020, the Municipal Council created the Westmount Accessibility Advisory Committee, WAAC, to identify the needs of persons with disabilities and to improve their social, professional, and educational integration into the local community. Whereas the City of Westmount mandated the WAAC to meet with the city's administrative departments and produce a report with recommendations to improve the access to its buildings, services, and programs. That the recommendations included in the attached report be considered and integrated by the city's administrative departments where feasible.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bresky, and I'm sure Councillor Bostock would like to second this. You had discussed this before as certainly a very important, achievement and a very important report that will have a lasting impact. Do you want to add anything else?
Yes, only to underline that we looked at the accessibility of the city infrastructure as well as the buildings, services, and programs. So just wanted to underline that was the scope.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Great. Thank you. Item number 8, adoption update to the complaint procedure concerning the application of a rate or a condition for the supply of electricity from Hydro Westmount. Councillor Shammy.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the attached complaint procedure concerning the application of a rate or a condition for the supply of electricity from Hydro Westmount be adopted.
Thank you. A seconder on this will be Councillor Gallery. Any further comments on this? No? All in favor? Carried. Item number 9, request for proposals, purchase of 300 meters of cable 1/0.15 kV PILC-PVC. Again, Councillor Shammy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to award to Annexter Canada Inc. a contract for the purchase of 300 meters of cable 1/0.15 kVs PILC-PVC in accordance with its proposal for a maximum amount of $72,084.32, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the request for proposals. And finally, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2021-1356.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Cutler. Thank you. Any further comments on this, Councillor Shammy?
Straightforward.
No. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 10, adoption bylaw 1576 on minor exemptions. The substitute city clerk. I hand that over to, is that going to be Mr. Campbell who reads this, or is this going to be Mr. Hakeem?
I believe it's Mr. Hakeem.
Okay.
The substitute city clerk to report that all formality required for dispensing with the reading of this bylaw have been observed and that the copies of the bylaw have been remitted to all members of council and are available for public reference. The substitute city clerk to explain that the object of this bylaw is to establish an exception procedure whereby council may authorize the carrying out of proposed work or the regularization of work in progress or completed that does not comply with all provisions of zoning bylaw or the bylaw concerning subdivisions. With the modifications, the substitute will report that the changes made to the draft bylaw, section 8, was amended to clarify the language used. The section admissibility of an application was added after section 3 of the draft bylaw in order to specify the work that can be covered by an application for a minor exemption. Paragraph 3 of section 6 was deleted. The evaluation criterion that appeared there is now covered by requirements of section 4. A copy of these modifications is available for public reference.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hakim. Est-ce que je peux avoir la déclaration de la part de chaque membre du conseil présent à la fait qu'il ou elle a lu le règlement et que la lecture en est dispensée? Can I have the declaration by each member of council present that he or she has read the bylaw and that reading is waived thereof? So declared by all. I now hand it over to Councillor Peart.
Thank you, Madame la Mairesse. I move that bylaw number 1576 entitled Bylaw on Minor Exemptions be adopted.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Lullum. Councillor Peart, you have talked about this in the past at many of our council meetings. Do you have any more comments you want to make? Except I would highlight the word minor.
Highlight indeed.
In bold and underlined. Yeah.
Yep, this is a great addition for our city. We've had kind of a one size fits all, and that doesn't necessarily fit all of our particularities we have across the territory. So this allows us to do a little bit of customization. And as you said, Mayor Smith, the key and operational word here is minor. And so in this revision, there's just been some small changes just to add some clarity where there might have been some room for interpretation previously. So I think these changes are welcome, and I look forward to this light application of this bylaw.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. And item number 12, there is no new business. Donc, je pense qu'on va procéder avec la deuxième période de questions with the second question period, if there are any questions, and if not, we will adjourn the meeting.
We
And
have one more point 11, item 11.
I don't see item number.
Adoption
Oh,
de-
excuse. Okay, sorry. Item number 11 is adoption bylaw 1577 to amend bylaw 1565 to establish tariffs for the 2021 fiscal year. Sorry, very important one. I missed that. My pages got shuffled here. Again, the substitute city clerk, or as we like to call him, the director general, to read the first part of this.
Donc, j'aimerais signaler que toutes les formalités requises pour la dispense de lecture de ce règlement ont été respectées et que des copies du règlement ont été remises à tous les membres du Conseil et mises à la disposition du public. J'aimerais expliquer que l'objet de ce règlement est d'introduire un tarif sur les dérogations mineures et pour prévoir la possibilité d'un remboursement partiel du tarif pour une demande de modification au règlement de zonage.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Hakim. Est-ce que je peux avoir la déclaration à la part de chaque membre du conseil présent à la fait qu'il ou elle a lu le règlement et que la lecture en est dispensée? So declared. Madame Kez, conseillère Kez. Vous êtes sur, you're on mute.
Désolée, merci. Je propose que le règlement 1577, intitulé Règlement modifiant le règlement 1565, visant à établir des tarifs pour l'exercice financier 2021, soit adopté.
Merci beaucoup. Je déclare que le règlement 1577, intitulé Règlement modifiant le règlement 1565, visant à établir les tarifs pour l'exercice financier 2021 a été adopté. Il est ordonné que l'avis soit donné conformément à la loi.
I think you needed a seconder and a vote first, Mayor.
Oh, a seconder on the, sorry, this is, a seconder is Councillor Breschke. All in favor? Carried. I don't believe I need to reread that. That is the end of that part of the agenda, and we move to the second question period, la deuxième période de questions.
Madame la mairesse, il n'y a pas d'autres questions ce soir sur la liste des invités.
Okay, so thank you all for those who attended the meeting virtually. Our apologies for the hiccup at the beginning of the meeting. Our next council meeting will be on October 4th, which will be the last council meeting of this mandate. So I will see some.
I'm sorry, I have one. If I can interject, Mr. Chalabi has written a question.
He's written a question.
It says,
Okay.
Will Westmount be in support of an appeal against Bill 21 for public service workers?
This is, I have made a statement, gosh, it feels like a lifetime ago, on Bill 21, where I felt it was an unnecessary, certainly an unnecessary bill. I've made it very clear that I did not think it was needed in this society. So we've been very clear on that in the past, and I continue to hold that point of view. Does anyone else want to comment on Bill 21?
I support your views, Mayor Smith.
Thank you. And on that, if there are any other questions?
No.
No? Okay. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Good night.